Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the program. You know, a little later in this week's program, we'll be talking about Ban the Box, the effort to make sure that people can apply for jobs and have a decent shot at them before revealing that they have a criminal record. So we'll be talking a little bit about incarceration and the criminal justice system later in the program. But another thought on that topic. You know, it's interesting what the right in this country feels okay spending money on for all their talk of wanting to cut government spending. There's one area they never talk about cutting spending about, and that's, sorry for the sentence construction, and that is incarceration. Let's look at the figures just a little bit. You know, the United States has less than 5% of the world's population, but we have about a quarter of the world's total prison population. That means on average, we incarcerate 5 times as many people as other countries do. And now those rates of incarceration are very skewed toward minorities. Black men are 6 times more likely to be in prison. Hispanic men are 2.4 times as likely. That's according to the Sentencing Project. So we do not hesitate to incarcerate in this country. We have more than 1.5 million people in prison, perhaps more than that. And, you know, nobody seems to look, forget the humanity side of it, forget the fact that so many of these people are in prison for nonviolent offenses or for offenses that have to do with mental illness or for offenses that have to do with the need to survive. Clearly, we should punish the truly malicious among us, whether they live on Main Street or Wall Street. Clearly, when someone knowingly does wrong, they should be punished. But 5 times the world's rate shows that we have something wrong. And you know what, my conservative friends? This also leads to a spending problem. Let's look at the numbers a little bit. You know, it's hard to get good numbers on prison spending, but the Census Bureau took a look in 2011 and concluded that judicial, police, and prison costs for that year were some $212 billion. Another study in 2007 said that roughly $74 billion was spent on prisons. That study from the United States Bureau of Justice Statistics. So we're talking now about $74 billion over a 10-year period, which is how people look at budgets here in Washington, D.C. That's $750 billion, and that's not even accounting for inflation. So $750 billion over 10 years to perpetuate a system of unjust and exaggerated incarceration. That, to me, suggests that we are spend crazy when it comes to unfair imprisonment in this country, and our Republican friends are going to need to learn to tighten their belts. And as long as we're talking about tightening our belts, here's another thing. We now learn that the Pentagon lost track of $500 million in weapons and equipment given to friendly forces in Yemen. Now, this on top of the billions in cash, I believe it was some $9 billion lost in Iraq. So again, when it comes to interfering with reckless and poorly thought out military adventures in the Middle East, money is no object. When it comes to imprisoning large segments of our own population haphazardly and destructively, money is no object. Perhaps our friends on the right are just looking at the wrong forms of expense control. I'm Richard RJ Eskow, and this is The Zero Hour.